Welcome to Time with Death. This video is for informational purposes and in no way meant to glorify or condone violence. In today's video, we'll be discussing the murder of Corey Jeremy McAlpine. McAlpine was shot and killed on Saturday, November 14, 2020, in the 38,000 block of 11th Street East in Palmdale, according to LA County coroner records. Lamar DeJuan Stevenson and Delvon Carnell Moore Gully were subsequently arrested and charged with the murder. The following is the evidence at trial. In November 2020, victim Corey McAlpine was fatally shot in an apartment complex in Palmdale where friends had gathered for a birthday party. Two of the female partygoers, TJ and NM, testified as the prosecution's witnesses. Video footage recovered from several security cameras in the apartment complex captured some of the activity before and after the shooting. The shooting itself was not captured on video. TJ was the girlfriend of the victim and they had a young son together. The victim was a Hoover gang member known as Groove. Other gang members were at the party, including defendant Stevenson, who's a neighborhood crip with the moniker Scat, and two of his friends, Trippy and Delvon Carnell Moore Gully. Trippy and Gully were members of the 10th Street Gang, also known as Dime Block Hustler Crips, which was associated with the neighborhood Crips and a rival of the victim's gang. Early that evening, TJ had an argument with the victim because he didn't want her to go to the party, but she went anyway since it was for her sister. At some point, the victim arrived at the party. Before heading to the party, NM drove to a liquor store to buy some alcohol, and defendant Stevenson accompanied her. NM had her gun with her in the bag. It was a .38 or a .357 revolver, the same caliber revolver used to kill the victim. Defendant knew she had the gun. When they arrived back at the apartment complex, NM left her gun in a bag underneath the front passenger seat. About an hour before the shooting, defendant Stevenson got into an animated or heated argument with the victim. Gully and Trippy were standing nearby. NM saw the argument but could not hear what was said. Video footage captured the argument. The victim walked away after the argument and did not return to the apartment where most of the party guests were still hanging out and drinking. Shortly thereafter, defendant went inside the apartment and asked NM for her car keys. She gave them to him without asking why he wanted them. Video footage captured defendant walking in the parking lot area with Gully. Defendant was holding a lanyard with keys that lay like NM's keys. NM said she didn't see defendant return to the party, and another friend later returned her car keys to her. Video footage taken around 3 a.m. showed both Gully and Trippy walking in the direction of a courtyard in the complex where the victim's body was eventually found. There was no video from the courtyard area itself. A couple of minutes later, another segment of video showed defendant and the victim also walking in the direction of the courtyard. At 3:05 a.m., video footage captured Gully and Trippy running away from the courtyard area and defendant walking in a different direction. Shortly thereafter, video showed defendant and Trippy meet up in a different area of the complex and leave together on foot. Meanwhile, NM heard a commotion outside the apartment and heard someone say there had been a shooting. NM was frightened and she collected her things to leave. She left with her wife, another friend, and her kids. When NM got into her car to drive everyone home, she saw her bag on the front passenger seat, not under it, where she had left it, and her gun was missing. NM returned to her home on 10th Street. About 20 or 30 minutes later, defendant showed up alone. NM asked where was her gun, and he told her he had to get rid of it. When she asked what had happened, defendant said something to the effect that, "Oh, that fool got what he had coming." Later, when NM was interviewed, she said defendant scared her. She did not understand why he had shot the victim. NM later received threats about her involvement in the case and was given assistance in relocating for her safety. The victim died from a single gunshot wound to his face. Ballistics analysis on the bullet recovered from the victim's neck showed the murder weapon was a .38 or .357 revolver. No shell casings were recovered at the scene, consistent with the murder weapon being a revolver. After Gully was arrested, he refused to be interviewed and made no incriminating statements when an undercover operative was placed in a holding cell with him. Thereafter, two Dime Block gang members, who were arrested on an unrelated matter, were placed in Gully's cell, which unbeknownst to all of them, was equipped to record their conversations. Over the course of several hours, Gully made various statements to his fellow gang members about the victim's shooting. Defendant Stevenson was charged with 1 count of murder and 1 count of being a felon in possession of a firearm, including a gun enhancement. Gully was charged as a co-defendant in the murder. Just before the start of the trial in April 2022, Gully pled no contest to voluntary manslaughter and was sentenced to the upper term of 11 years. When the prosecution called Gully as a witness, he refused to testify. Gully was held in contempt and given another opportunity to testify, and he refused again. The court declared him unavailable as a witness and admitted, over defendant Stevenson's objection, selected portions of Gully's out-of-court statements describing aspects of the shooting. Following the trial, the jury found defendant Stevenson guilty of first-degree murder and being a felon in possession of a firearm, and found true of the gun allegation. The court sentenced the defendant to a term of 25 years to life, plus a 10-year upper term for the firearm enhancement. Corey Jeremy McAlpine was 28 years old at the time of death.